Hello, this is my oral presentation number 2 for Geology 105. I will be introducing geology. And so to start, I will answer the basic introductory question. What is geology? Well, geology it's a study of the Earth, the materials that make up the Earth, the structure of these materials and the Earth itself, and the processes that occur within the Earth. These things are studied in a couple of different ways. One of which is through digs. And in digs, what they'll do is they will just find an area that they have chosen for whatever reason, whatever its location is, or whatever their theory about that area is, and they will just excavate a perimeter. They will pull up these rocks from the ground and look at them. Look at what kind of rocks they are, what kind of layers they're in, whether there are any dikes, anything like that. They'll look at the magnetization of the rocks to figure out what the Earth's magnetic field has been doing in the past thousands of years. And so that's the way that we learn about geology in terms of the upper layer of the Earth's crust. Now, that method doesn't work so well once you want to go deeper. There have been instances in the past where they have tried to get to the lower layers of the Earth, like the mantle or even just the lower bit of the crust, and they've tried to do this by just digging. And that hasn't worked. They've tried digging in the ocean or on the continental crust, and both times, at least that I know of, they failed. The crust was just too thick, too dense, too large. They couldn't get through it. And so, to get around that, what they've done is they've used seismic waves to study the inside of the Earth. And what seismic waves are is they're just energy vibrations. And what they'll do is they will send one of these vibrations with an explosion or some device through one side of the Earth. They will then have receivers on different parts around the world, and they will observe how these seismic waves have bent through the Earth and the time it takes for these waves to get through the Earth. With this information, they can figure out how many layers there are, where these deviations between the layers are, and what kind of materials are in the Earth. And one of the outcomes of this method of investigating the inside of the Earth is we've been able to find natural resources in the crust a lot more easy. A lot easier? A lot easier. So what they'll do is they'll do the same thing. They'll send a seismic wave just into the crust, and they will have the receiver back up on the top layer, and they will look and see how the vibration reverberates back up to the receiver. And with that information, they can tell whether there's an oil pocket down there or any other natural resource pocket down there. And so that's one way that geology has, been applied to the real world. Another thing is that it has given us an understanding of both what volcanoes are and what their eruptions, where they come from. They've also given us an idea of what earthquakes are, and in conjunction with that, what tsunamis are. And as we learn more and more about how these earthquakes and volcanic eruptions happen, we're getting better at predicting when they're going to happen or when a volcano is dormant or not, and it's helped improve the safety from some of these natural disasters. It's not perfect. It's an incredibly hard thing to predict, but it is getting better and better as the days go by. One kind of important way that geology has shaped human history is that with them being able to find these natural resources like fossil fuels in the crust, they've been able to exploit the oil a lot more. Not that they didn't know about oil or had found it before geology started to grow, But once geology started to evolve and they came up with these new methods and technologies of finding what's in the crust, they've started it's exploded the oil industry, which has made technology boom in the world. And along with that has come a lot of pollution from burning these oils. And so you can see how geology, in that particular aspect, and it's done it in other ways too, but in that one specific example, the evolution of geology created more technology on the Earth, which, good or bad thing, depends on the situation. But it has also created a new problem that humans have to face, and that is environmental consciousness. What we're burning and what we're putting into the atmosphere. And so, you can see how geology has its applications and how it has shaped human history. That's it. Thanks.